Embrace your curves, love every part. Big thighs, big heart. Stand tall, shine bright. You're a star on the night. Big thighs matter, don't you see? Beauty in all shapes, that's the key. Confidence in every stride. Big thighs matter, let your light shine. Stretch marks, beauty lines. Each one tells a story so divine. Embrace your body, love your skin. In a world of standards, let self-love win. Big thighs matter, don't you see? Beauty in all shapes, that's the key. Confidence.
All right, we have here with us today with Thick Thighs Matter podcast. I'm so excited to have this person. She's not just a person, she is an actual institution of all things plus, all things curvy, lifestyle, wellness, fitness, fashion, you name it. Marie Dene has done it. She has been in the industry for such a long time, and I am just excited to talk to her about where she's from, where she's been, and furthermore, where she's going. So I introduced to everybody here, the Curvy Fashionista, Miss Marie Dene. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of Thick Thighs Matter podcast. How are you doing today?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm doing all right. Trying to stay cool.
I know. It's scorching across the country, period. It's been a scorcher here in Georgia. It's like crazy. It's like hot, and even you don't even see kids playing. They're like, I'm inside. It's just too it's too
That
hot.
part.
Right. That part. So, like I was saying about your media platform, the Curvy Fashionista, it is the mecca, the center point, the North Star for all of us thick girls. And it is an amazing body of work, amazing body of media work. So I just want to ask you, how did you get started with the Curvy Fashionista? And furthermore, how did you get started in the plus size industry, period?
Well, I started the Curvy Fashionista by mistake. I started it because I wanted to technically open up a boutique. And I used the Curvy Fashionista as a marketing tool. Like when I was doing research and I was gathering things, I was putting it here like, hey, look at this new designer I found. Or, I used it to kind of, that was my intention, right? So man plans, God laughs. And I think in 2009, Friday the 13th of March 2009, I lost my job.
Oh, wow.
And instead of looking at it as this doom and gloom situation, I looked at it as, okay, 13 means change, and this is a change, and let me just kind of go forth and see what could happen. I remember I had received a piece of clothing to write about it. And I was like, this is a transaction, but I'm not sure what kind. Like, it was that early in the game, right? And I was like, I feel like something could be here. Like, let me just kind of see what happens. And I went full, how do you say? I jumped in, like off the deep end, and went in and just started kind of feeling things out and kind of growing from there. And that's actually my foray into the plus size fashion community space. I mean, well, I lie. Back up probably more summer of 2008. I joined the Fashionista community on LiveJournal. Yeah, taking it way back, right?
Right. That's a that's a flash.
Right. And I think for me, like that's kind of where the impetus started. Like I wanted to talk about fashion. I wanted to talk about access to fashion. I wanted to talk about the options that were available. I come from a retail background. So for me, it was just about like bringing access and bringing the options to us. So that's kind of how I got started.
And so from 2008 on, plus, my God, the plus industry has grown by leaps and bounds.
Yes, it has.
What were the challenges back then, and what have you seen in the plus industry and how we've changed thus far?
Well, I mean, I guess the question more specifically is challenges where and how, right? Because there, depending on which, angle you look at it, I mean, blogging was wild, wild west. There was no structure. There were no equations, like math, like there wasn't a structure to it. Like people now like know that they'll start a blog to have a business, right?
Right.
That didn't exist back there. It was like, okay, you could do what, doing what? Like I remember trying to explain to my mom what I was doing, and she didn't understand why I'm sitting at the computer. For her, she sees me on Facebook, not realizing that I'm actually working. Meanwhile, I'm like, Ma, like I'm just, this is just, I'm working. Like you go onto your computer to play on Facebook. I'm giving you the content to play with on Facebook. So this
Absolutely.
is where, I was trying to explain what I was doing. Now she understands it, but that journey kind of was hilarious. In the plus size space, I remember there were a couple of different like challenges. One was just getting retailers to make the trends on trend,
Very
right?
true.
Like if the trends were a red lace bodycon dress, we wouldn't see it until next year. Literally. Like we would get it so late. And
Yeah.
so I remember like the push and the challenge that the bloggers and I like we were like, we need this now. Like stop waiting, they didn't know that we wanted to be on trend with everybody else. Now the challenge is getting access, right? And it's access not just online but in store,
Right.
right? So I think it just depends on what you focus, and then not even just up to a 3x, but like at least a 5,
Yes.
right? Like, and so you're seeing now like the changes are like the challenges or the pushes are like to kind of expand the accessibility and the options, to have more. I mean, we're still trying to, you know, push back on retailers that put plus size folks in on one rack in the corner. Shout out
Very
to
true.
Trendy Curvy for that. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, like even just the options or the sizing, right? The sizing that is given, shout out to Samira. Like these shout outs are like to some of the people who are like really championing those specific causes
Yes.
within the total space. So now it's just, we have quite a lot of options, but it's still not.
Not enough.
Mhm.
Not enough. So as someone that I consider as champion plus, and you haven't just been doing it for a season. We do have those that come in and they have their catchy phrases and so forth, and then they're there for a season. You have been on a marathon. You haven't been sprinting. You have been on a long journey to bring plus to the forefront. And as far as getting that notoriety, as far as getting the recognition on the runway, we are seeing more women of plus size women on the runway, but they are in specific lines. Of course, Christian Siriano is always going to have him a thick woman in there. We do appreciate that. But what has been your experiences? Because I know that you have conversations with some designers and some brands. How has it been? What's the conversation like when we talk about body positivity and plus exclusivity into certain stores or certain on the runways with certain designers?
It spans. It's the spectrum is very wide because there's still some people like, well, we are, well, we have done a lot. Like in their minds, like they have done a lot or they know the customer, but then I come back to them like, well, actually, no, like because you're not showing up here. This is where, I remember I spoke to a CEO and I was like, you guys need to do more for this community. They're like, oh, but we're extending sizes and I said, but when I go to your homepage, I don't see me.
Yeah.
And they're like, and it was like, huh? I'm like, you don't see us in the marketing, you don't see us in the ads, you don't see us in the Instagram pages, like the brand's Instagram pages. So it's like you need to be doing more. You need to show up and you need to put your marketing dollars to work.
Very true.
And that is where those are the conversations I have, because like that's the, it's kind of like a social responsibility, or I feel like it's my responsibility if I have access to these, directors or C-suite folks. I'm going to tell them, and I'm going to tell them just as point blank period. Like, and sometimes that means the brand won't work with me. Sometimes that means like, like, but at least they can't say they didn't know.
Very true. And I think you absolutely, when you have a platform, a voice, I think it's very important to lend your voice, because people are looking at the Curvy Fashionista on what are we doing? What's next? Like I told you previously, like you have your finger on the pulse of all things curvy and fashion. In fact, all things plus and curvy, you have your finger on the pulse, and it's been there for a while. And so when I look at your website, even you even go down in your website to where you talk about the plus size Disney characters. You go cosplay.
I mean, because if we're going to talk about representation, if we're going to talk about media representation, it is insidious. Like, it is in every tentacle. So when we have to talk about, like, when we're watching cartoons, how did that impact us growing up? When we're watching reading comics, how does that impact us growing up? From a cosplay perspective, like, how do people interpret it for themselves? Like, so there are so many different places where being a plus size person intersects, like, and I feel a little bit like it's our responsibility to showcase, highlight, and feature, because you can't be what you don't see. And
Oh,
so, right, and so, like, by being able to provide these, like, options, and then on top of everything else, like, if I don't intersect, then I need to pass the mic. So I will invite contributors on who have a more lived experience, because I don't know, there are certain things I just don't have a lived experience with,
absolutely.
and then we talk about it.
Awesome. So you just did Essence. How was Essence?
Essence was hot. Essence was hot, and there were a lot of people, and I didn't realize that I was staying at the Lit Marriott. The lobby of the Marriott we stayed at turned into a club from 5 to 8 p.m. So imagine my surprise coming back from Essence and thinking like, oh, I'm gonna go to the restaurant, get me some food. And I walk into a sea of grown folks. And I'm like, what is happening? I had no idea. Like, no idea. Like, people will come to Essence just to go to this hotel. Like, it was wild.
Oh, wow.
Right. But I was really fortunate. Like, I have been part of a boot camp program through Essence, that a business boot camp program that allowed for me to submit an idea, and I was chosen. Our idea was chosen, and we were able to present it. And doing so, like, I wanted to start a conversation, because with so many people at Essence, like, where's the plus fashion, inclusion? How are we including, what does that look like? And so it's like, this is the perfect place to start that conversation.
So how was that received? Was it received well, or?
I mean, we had people nodding their heads, like, yes, yes, like, the reaction, it seemed really well received. Our panelists had fun. So it was definitely, like, for me, a new kind of space where I want to kind of explore and have more conversation around, and bringing plus size fashion to these fashion conversations when it's not even considered or thought of.
Very true. I was going to ask you about your panel. Did you come up with the panel, or was that the panel put together for you, or did you say, hey, I want to bring these people on and we're going to do an awesome panel?
Correct. So I reached out to the panelists. I wanted to give a range, and I came, they let me put it all together. So
That's
I
super.
had that freedom.
Now, I was looking at your website also, and like I said, you do everything: health, fitness, beauty, confidence. Where are you from, first of all? You said you were from.
I'm a military brat, so I was born in California. Then I moved to Hawaii. Then we moved to Virginia, then to Japan, then back to Hawaii, then back to California. And I've been up and down California. And then I moved to Georgia. I was there for 7 years, and I moved back home to California.
How has that impacted you as a plus size woman traveling around the way you have?
I think being exposed to so many different types of people from different countries, that like growing up, I was like, I remember being like 9 years old and someone being like, oh, I'm from Guam. And I'm like, ooh, where's that on the map? You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So it's more of a fascination of meeting people from so many, so the being surrounded by diversity,
Hmm.
like, was kind of out the gate. Like that was just a given, especially growing up in a military family, military household. So you were constantly exposed to the newness and the uniqueness of each person. I think I think that has allowed for me to, I don't think I've ever been asked this question. Um, I think it allows for me to kind of value myself holistically, not just kind of based on my 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 looks, right?
Right.
Like the totality of the person, I think,
Right.
maybe.
What do you see next for the Curvy Fashionista?
So these past 2 years, I've really been focused and hunkered down on foundation, really understanding, like, because now we don't even identify ourselves as a blog. We are a digital media publisher. And
Yes.
so now I'm like really digging into like, what does that mean? What tools, what processes, what organizations, like I'm really kind of becoming a student of that, right? Um, I went through an accelerator program for Black owned digital media publishers last year. And that really gave me the ecosystem, the foundation, and a renewed or a, yeah, like a renewed mindset about how I approach, look, and navigate through this space. And so for me, it's just like, okay, sky's the limit. Like what can I do? What can't I do? Right? Like it's like, well, what can we do to like really bring some value to the community? Like what can we do that's going to be resourceful and helpful? What can we do that's really going to be of some kind of use or support to the community that we were a part of? So for me, that's been my focus right now. Like playing around with content, we're expanding the different, because being a curvy fashionista, like yourself, like you're more than just fashion. You may like you, you may like cars, so you may want to know, like, okay, what car is going to be best for my booty, right? You may like to travel, which airlines is most plus size friendly. You may like to ride roller coasters, which theme parks are going to be most plus size friendly. Like we intersect and have various types, and I'm playing around with content to see like how and where the reader is, like, voting with their eyeballs, right?
Right.
And seeing like what's being well received, and just kind of testing a few things just from a content base. But I'm bringing back some older features that I've had on the site. Like when I say older, like maybe 2017ish.
Right.
um bringing back a couple of different features that were on the site before that I didn't realize had made an impact with someone. And I'm like, well, let me bring that back. Like that was helpful to someone. Like, let's keep this going. So I'm really just really focusing on the tools and resources that can help the community.
Absolutely. I love it. I like it. I call it the culture, even though that's been used like hip hop culture. But I like to say like the plus culture, because we if we united together, our buying power, we can really change a lot of things. Um, what do you see in our community or culture as far as plus size? What is the one thing that we need to join together on, or be more poignant on, or something that we may need to stop altogether?
It's a very broad question. I think it's really supporting um like the folks that are doing the work, like helping champion, help lift. So like if you see, for me, if I see an influencer who's like doing something that's like really dope, I'm going to make sure I try to amplify or bring attention to or at least give some type of support to what cause they're championing. I think it's important that we also be mindful and vote with our dollars. Like, if you want better clothes, like, then you need to shop the brands that are giving you those better clothes. Like, if you want better options, like, leave those comments, but also shop the things that are, you know what I'm saying? So you
Yes.
can vote with your dollar, you can speak out, you can show up, so many different ways, and it doesn't have to be monetary, right? You can share something, you can comment or like. I think there has to be first a realization of these algorithms, because the algorithms on these social media platforms have created a distancing or have fractured how close everything used to be. So the growth of social media is directly correlated to the growth of plus size fashion, right? So plus size fashion was able to kind of groundswell because we were all using Facebook and then Twitter and then Instagram. But then each one of those platforms introduced their own algorithms, which limited reach, which limited, visibility, which, you know what I'm saying, kind of fractured things. And so it can kind of feel a little disconnected. It can kind of feel a little separated because you're like, I don't see these people on my page because the algorithm is playing with you, right? It's going to depend. It's going to be important that you are intentional when you go to, to look and to support and to find your peoples. You're going to have to be intentional versus kind of just scrolling and letting something pop up, right? You're going to have to be a little bit more intentional because the algorithms have introduced a feeling of kind of being disconnected on top of the pandemic, right? So we lost a lot of businesses and brands and stores during the pandemic. So and events, right? So now, like, there's this, people are kind of peeking around, is it okay to come out yet? Right? And so you're starting to see this resurgence of events. You're starting to see a resurgence of brands, of collections. So support the brands and the events and the influencers and the that are doing the things you like and that you're curious about. Like, that's what's going to be probably like the biggest important thing to do.
Okay, thank you for that. I know it was a broad question, but I like how you just tailored it down and just answered it for me. And who, in your opinion, are the ones to watch as far as designers, that maybe new emerging designers or designers that have been around for a while and they're still consistently doing their thing?
So, okay, so those are three different pools, right? So influencers, I'm totally like obsessed with Samira. And from attitude to style to just
Yes.
like just the total vibe,
Yes.
right? I'm definitely going to shout out Juicy Johnson and um Curvily and Trendy Curvy. Like, they're kind of that generation that was like kind of right behind us,
Mm-hmm.
and like they're doing and kind of coming into their groove, and definitely wanting to continue to support and shout out and love on them, especially as they're finding their platforms to really champion.
Right.
But then you have like Saucy West, right? That's like constantly about challenging brands to expand their size ranges.
Right.
On the designer side, I'm really excited about what Flaws of Couture is about to come up. She's been teasing images, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I need everything that I'm seeing right now. Um, and then you have like Hillary McMillan up in Canada, but then you have like Christian Omichun, who's like totally pivoted from ready to wear into evening wear, right? Then you
Mhm.
have Melissa Mercedes, then you have Pinecone Row and Charnice from Pinecone Row and Barkwood. But then you have Naracina. And I mean, so just and then you have Gia in real life, and then you have what Laura wants, but then you have Zelly for she, who's given us like the Lux boho, I live on a beach kind of
Yeah.
lifestyle that I just love being, especially because I'm here in California and it's 5,000 degrees out here.
Right.
So it just depends on, and I mean, there's so many more that I haven't mentioned, but like, there's Jabri, who stays consistent in
Stays
what she
consistent.
delivers and as an aesthetic, right? So it just depends on what you're looking for, what your aesthetic is. And the fun part is there are now designers, especially in the contemporary space, that are giving us more specific point of views, more specific fashion point of views than we've had before. And so, there's Bacall and Santi Grace. I mean, there's ranges, right? There's options. And for me, I couldn't more so like pick up one, but I look at like Rachel Pally just closed her shop, like closed her business down. And I'm gutted because like she was like the queen of the maxi dress. And I'm
Yes.
like, oh, so you're seeing, so one goes and like two more come. So it's just interesting to see what's going to happen because, it's the cycle of fashion.
Absolutely. Is there anything that we need to be watching that's coming for the fall? I know we're still in the slap middle of the summer and everybody's enjoying that, but do you have any idea what's coming for the fall, what's going to be trending for the fall?
You know, to hate to sound so cliche, but like I'm here for all things leather. I'm curious to see how denim is going to evolve because we saw an evolution of denim dresses, denim skirts. Like they brought back the maxi denim skirt. Like, how
Yes.
is that going to translate into the fall? And how is that going to translate within the plus space, right?
Yes.
Like, for me, it's really, I am a fan of clean lines. I don't like to fuss over my clothes. I like to champion being comfortable. So there is like kind of that contemporary vibe that really speaks to me. So I'm still looking for like, the brands that deliver that, right?
Right.
So it's just going to be interesting to see. I mean, it's interesting because of how the cycle is right now, where we used to be behind, where now we're on par.
Yes.
So, I could look at like the runways, the couture runways, the designer runways that have already kind of that shown in February for what's going to be here for fall. But how that translates into plus is going to be the interesting part, right? How that translates. And so that's what I'm curious to see.
Yeah, I'm here for all denim. I've even seen the emergence of they're bringing back the sneakers with the real thick socks that we used to wear in the 90s with the real thick and then the colors like the hot pinks and the neons and all. So I'm so for that.
That Y2K vibe.
Everything going back, anything in the 90s and on going forward, it's just all me. I love all of that stuff. So I'm seeing a lot of that come back. I'm super excited about that. And what I've also saw come back was the velour suits.
I don't even think they really left. It just wasn't like as pronounced, right?
Yeah, I'm
Because
seeing
I
my
think part of
nieces
the
and
rise of that is, and I think the rise of that is because of COVID, right? And athleisure and like loungewear, right? I
right.
mean, when Juicy Couture decided to come back and include plus, and I think they did it with Forever 21 or something like that. Like
Right.
that was no. But I mean, you're also seeing like baby fat come back. You're
Yes.
seeing like a lot of these like 90s brands that are kind of finding their, new voice, new face. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see because like I remember being in a pair of like little hot mama shorts, like little hot ass shorts, and they laced up the side in chains and they
Oh,
were like baby fat shorts. Like
heck yeah. Heck yeah.
I mean, and so, you know, if and they and I think I was like in a 15 17 because like it was odd sizes in the juniors, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering like how inclusive like baby fat, is because I know they go up to a 3X, but the question or the opportunity is like, will they at least go to a 4? And then if you can go to a 4, can you go to a 5?
Probably the
So
Happy
like,
Meal. Most of those stores, they would say, yeah, we'll do that, but you got to buy it online. You have to go online, and then you take the risk. And when you're at 4 and 5X, and you're like, I hope it fits well, or anything of that. You're like, I want it to fit good. Then you have to go through the process of returning it if it don't fit well. Then they're just
and
frustrated.
so then the question becomes, because it's not just a brand thing, you look at like the industry, like what are these fashion schools doing or not doing to help educate, provide? I mean, we have Mallory from Smart Glamour, who's now teaching, I think, like at FITM.
Okay.
She's teaching plus size pattern making at a fashion design school. Now, it's not a curriculum course. However, she's starting there, like, so it's like we need more folks teaching the design elements of plus in these fashion schools, so that when people come out, they know how to be a technical designer for plus. So when they come to a straight size brand, they're like, oh, I already know how to do this.
Right.
Right. So it becomes like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Well, I find it kind of crazy that it's such a challenge to be able to learn this and do this and execute it when the majority of the people in the United States, women wise, are 14.
I mean, but that's where all the isms come in, right?
Right.
That is where all the isms, sizeism, classism, racism, like all of those different isms show itself, elitism, right? Like there is a, there for the longest time used to be this hella, unfortunate misnomer that plus size people are lazy, aren't smart, aren't educated, all these like negative things that then impacted how the buyers at these department stores, how the buyers at these brands would buy for plus size people. Oh, she's not going to want to wear fashion because she's a woman in transition. She's not going to invest in herself until she loses weight. She's not
Right.
going
And
to,
it's
you know
like,
what I'm saying? Like
you
they
fly
take all
now.
of that, and that's how do you say, like it grows its tentacles and
Very
shows
true.
itself in the options. Like I remember having a conversation with a designer many moons ago, and how they were meeting with a department store, and she brought all of her best sellers, bright colors, and they wanted it in black and in brown or in navy. They didn't want to buy in these colors because they said that we wouldn't wear it.
We still have a long way to go. And we still have a long way to go, but it is so awesome that the conversations are being had, and we have people like you that are not afraid to go in front of these CEOs' faces and say, make that just like you made that. Put some more material on it and sell it. They'll buy it. I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
find it's like it's very simple. It's a simple solution, but it doesn't seem like it's a simple execution. Put some more
Well,
material.
because on the execution side, the execution requires money, requires research, requires a level of investment. And rather than thinking like this investment is going to yield an X result, they're thinking about this investment is taking away from this investment. You see what I'm saying? Like they feel like if I'm spending money here, I'm not able to apply those dollars over here. And so it's very small minded. It's very like scarcity kind of mindset thinking versus an abundance, because like really we are, the plus size space is like an abundance playground if you go into it with the right mindset.
And if you do it right, don't just say you're
Mm-hmm.
plus, and then you say you're plus. Oh, we carry plus sizes, and then your 2X is actually a large. It doesn't fit right. You didn't take the time, and then now
You didn't work with a fit model.
you
You didn't
didn't
work
work
with a
with
technical designer. You didn't
exactly.
even see, you didn't even check your size chart against the other like kind of plus size legacy brand size charts.
Very true. Very true. So I want to pivot real quick as we've
Okay.
been talking all things plus and fashion. So what, yesterday or the day before yesterday, it's been about 48 hours since our president, Joe Biden, has backed out of the race and he has endorsed Kamala Harris. What do you think about that?
Oh, I'm geeked. What do they say? I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. Like for me,
You said,
like,
fired up, ready to go.
right? Isn't that the phrase, right? Like
Yeah,
for
that's what
me,
Obama says. Yes.
And I remember where I was. I was in Oakland when Obama had won, the night that I was with one of my best friends, and she's a counselor at a college. So we were like with like all these young Black students, and we were like just watching, and it was like, whoa, everybody like, yay! And that level of excitement, what I'm seeing today, right? That level of excitement amongst our communities. I mean, I was on that Zoom, that 44,000 Black women win
You
with Black
were?
women. I was on that Zoom, and I just remember like Maxine Waters talking, and then you had Star Jones like getting everybody together to donate. Then you had, I mean, like, and there were so many new and like legacy names and new names and faces that I wasn't even aware of, that I was like, ooh, let me go follow them real quick. Like, so I can stay abreast about what's going on. Like,
Yes.
it gave me more resources. Like, I felt like it's kind of like an empowerment kind of. I mean, we were on there, like, I'm on the East, I'm on the West Coast. So at 9:30, 10 o'clock, they were still going at night. So I know on the East Coast, it was like
Okay.
midnight, one
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yeah.
And, I was just like, all right, I got to tap out. I got to go to bed. But like,
Message
but
received. I got you, girl.
right, but like, it was really cool to see. But what was even more exciting was to see the next day, yesterday, the men did theirs. And like, we put it on YouTube, on the TV, got my stepdad, like, look, come watch this.
Wow.
And it was really the level of excitement and the level of history, like doubly, is
Yes.
exciting to see and watch.
Yes. Yes. I was I was surprised. Um that he's first of all, I was surprised that he backed down because
Listen, I'm not even gonna front. I was scared. I wasn't
I
gonna front. Like,
thought
I
he
was
was
scared when he
not
said,
gonna do it. I thought he was not gonna do it. And then when he messed around and God bless the president, get well soon. I know you have COVID, get well soon. We don't want to see you in
for
a
the
bad
fourth
way.
time.
Oh, Jesus. We don't want to see you in a bad way. But after when he
Right.
announced that he had COVID, I said, oh, here we go. Here we go. What we doing now? And looking at him stepping up into the plane, I was just like, Lord Jesus, the poor thing. He couldn't get his feet, he couldn't lift his feet up. And he was just, once he got in the plane, he was just shuffling. I said, oh, it's not. And then to hear that he decided, and I'm sure it wasn't, I'm sure he didn't decide, you know what, I think it's just best. I think he had to be talked to for a while. I'm sure.
Oh, hell yeah. They already had said that Nancy Pelosi was in them conversations.
I'm sure he had to be talked to for a while, but I am
But
excited.
wait, the way that all of the Democratic leadership united quickly, she clinched all the delegates yesterday.
We don't have time. We don't have time to play. We do not have to. I was having a conversation with my dear friend. My dear friend is dead set against it. No, I don't like her. Blah, 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 blah. This morning, we were just going back and forth about it, and it's her points of view. She's not qualified. I said, well, who is? Who is then? So I'm excited to see the
I
next
mean, and
event.
for someone who says, for someone to be like, oh, she's not qualified, three quick points. One, she's the only presidential candidate who's actually held these roles. She was a senator. She was an AG and a vice president. What
Yeah,
you mean she wasn't qualified?
qualified. Which that's
What do
like,
you mean?
right?
Versus the other guy who has been what? Like, what do you mean? Like,
That's what I said. I said, so what's his
well, and it
qualification?
sounds like someone. It sounds like someone parroting, like, what do you call them, like kind of detracting messages on, you know what I'm saying, like they've been
Right.
listening to someone who's just naturally. But like, if Biden's already, like, he's been our president and our vice president, and he said that this chick knows what she's doing,
Because I'm sure she had to step
Mind you,
in a few meetings that he was unable to attend. I'm sure. We're sure. We can pretty much.
because
We're
what
sure.
he said, he's like, he knows what a black job is, so we already know.
And since you know what a black job is, we're gonna go ahead and let her go ahead and own it.
I mean, so it's like, when folks say that, like, it's like, dude, why don't you really go into, because, oh, well, she's a cop and she put away these men, da, da, da. Like, dude, she put away people who were sexual offenders.
Yes.
She didn't just go, and they're like, well, why are we just hearing about this now? It's like, dude, because it's been what, 4 years, one, and how do you say, like, social media 4 years ago,
You didn't do your
huh?
research. They didn't do their research.
You let other people do it for you.
Who this person is. Did you do your due diligence on the other person? Because the other person has a history of a lot of stuff that, yeah, and we don't want to talk about that, or we talk about it and make excuses for it. But here we have someone that is qualified to can speak to issues and have information and data and can properly debate and debunk when things are being said that are not true or that are being misconstrued. And it
With a
won't,
smile on their
with a
face.
smile on her face. It will not have a long, it won't take a long time to say, no, 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 no. And I look forward to when this prosecutor go ahead and debate this convicted felon. See how this is going to go. We're going to
I
see how
mean, like,
this is exciting to me. And like you said, is everybody is like, I had put on social media. I said, let me go ahead and dust off my Converses and my pearls. And we got to go. We got to go. I got to go get my baby some Converses and pearls because we got to go. So,
listen, I mean, and then you had the whole D9 like come out like all unified, and they're doing a whole voter canvassing. Like, they were like, we are united. And then you have, I mean, so there's like all these different layers
yes,
of just culture that's going to be brought to the forefront that folks
yes,
have no idea about.
yes,
They're like, Jack and Jill, like, what is, like, the links, like, there's
yes.
all these different groups that are now like coming together that are like, I mean, on that call, you had the Jack and Jill girls, you had the links people, I'm like, whoa,
Hate I missed
right.
that call. I hate that I missed that Zoom because I would have been sitting there like this. Oh my goodness, this is not a drill. Let's go.
Listen, even Ann Navarro, right? The Latina Ann Navarro, she came on and she spoke some words.
And
Hmm?
the one that used to be on The View all the time.
Mm-hmm.
She was on the. She was on
Mm-hmm.
there.
She
Hey,
jumped in. I mean,
hey.
and everybody was in their cars. They was driving. They were like, whoa. Like, I mean, it was Sunday night. Folks with the way that they organized this, like, it was just like, wow. So for me, when it comes down to like this particular election, like, as a woman, as a black woman, as a black plus size woman, like, it is only that much more serious for you to be dialed in to, to understand, like, like, educate yourself on Project 2025, like how they're literally trying to dismantle every type of freedom
Yes.
that we as women
Yes.
have. It's going to be so important to understand, like, not voting, it takes 2 votes to cancel your non-vote,
Oh.
right? So it's like,
Wow.
I mean, it takes 2 votes to cancel. What is it? I think I'm saying it wrong. But basically, not voting is a vote for the other person.
Absolutely.
Basically, because, like, and in this particular case, like, I don't want to about like someone legislating my body.
Very
Like,
true.
I want the autonomy to do what I want in my body, with my body, how I see fit.
And
Like,
the only people that are being told what to do with their body is women.
our women.
The only one that's being told what to do with their body is women. Whether
Because
you're
I think it was
whether you're
AOC who was like,
for or against, we're the only one being told what to do. And we're being told what to do with our bodies by not our group of people, but men who
and then they come, then they're also trying to get rid of no fault divorce.
oh, okay, what is that?
So
Let me
No
write that.
fault divorce. Real quick crash lesson. So no fault divorce, meaning when you get divorced with your, like if you were to get divorced with your partner, you guys could get divorced without having to go to court and prove
Oh, you just sign, say, I'm done, you're done, we're done, we're done.
we just
Right.
signed. Right. No fault divorce.
Okay.
They're trying to get rid of it because if you are someone who's gone through abusive relationship or your husband has cheated on you, you then have to take them to court to prove the case, right? So you got to find a lawyer, you got to afford a lawyer, you have to know your rights. So imagine if you're in abuse, and then they're also trying to get rid of, in some states they just passed that you can't get divorced, girl, if you are pregnant with your husband.
Oh, Lord. So you got to stay there.
Yes, and these are the types of things that are literally only like are on the books in some states that are literally kind of like I'm not trying to, how do you say, like call fire drill, but this is like real stuff that is like on the docket, like what we're voting for. This is not just for Kamala and having our first Black woman president. This is for our livelihood, for being able to go to school, college. They're trying to dismantle the Department of Education in Project 2025.
Yes, I did see that. DEI.
I mean, so
stuff.
I mean, I just, Google Project 2025 if y'all can. Like, make sure you are registered to vote because they're also trying to prevent, purge, and restrict how folks are registered to vote. So obviously it's important because they're trying to keep you off trying to keep that ability away from you. Like,
it's a lot going on this election cycle.
Obviously, I'm hyped up about it.
And I'm hyped up too. It's a lot going on this election cycle, and it's a lot of stuff that at the state and local levels, you have to pay attention, not just to the national. You got to vote all the way down that ballot.
Down ticket. Down ballot.
Way down. You have to be knowledgeable about everything that's going to be on your ballot. Get your ballots early if you can. There's going to be certain things that's for your county, your district, your parish, whatever, and you got to be able to know. Don't just say, "Oh, I didn't know what that was. I just go ahead and just keep going," because then now you're voting for something that may impact you or your family later on in life. So we have to stay vigilant, educated. Education is the key on so that we can understand what and who. If you don't want to vote for Kamala, then don't vote for Kamala, but vote somewhere. Put your vote somewhere. Just don't say I ain't going. Because now you going, I want to hear your mouth. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing when you're mad about something happening. Oh, this is mess. Well, did you vote? Nope. Well, then hush. So what's about it? You were quiet then, be quiet now. So, thank you so much for your time. Listen, I did not know you was on that call. I bet you that Zoom was like.
Yes, it felt like church. It felt like I've gone to the last time I felt this way was when I went to Essence Black Women in Hollywood luncheon many years ago. And that level of just like to be surrounded by like that, like excellence, empowerment, like you could, like you just walked away like I can do all things.
Right. We definitely need to have more of that. And listen, I thank you. Thank you so much for taking your time to talk to me on Thick Thighs Matter podcast. And where can my followers find you? Because they are going to find you.
Well, you can come to our site at thecurvyfashionista.com. Please make sure you subscribe to our newsletter so that way you can always stay abreast on what's going on. We're on Instagram at the Curvy Fashionista. We're on Twitter at TCF Style. On Pinterest at TCF Style. You can follow me at Marie Dene on. I have my own site where I talk more about like business stuff. Marie Dene on Twitter, we're on Facebook too, the Curvy Fashionista and Marie Dene as well. So you can definitely find me everywhere there too.
Do you have anything coming up? Any events or anything coming up that you like to talk about?
Not right now.
Enjoying your song.
Right now, like, I know, right? Well, right now, like, for me, like I said, I'm just focusing on foundation, on the processes, the tools, and all that kind of fun stuff. So I'm like tinkering. I'm under the hood tinkering.
Yes, and I look forward to see what you're going to do next for the culture and moving us forward. In all things plus and curvy, I just love it. Thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. You are on this is my first episode. So you are definitely a part of my first episode, and you're definitely a part of history. And I will never forget this. Thank you so much. And listen, next time they have a call like that, sister.
I got you. I got you. I got you.
I won't say a word. I will just sit there like this.
But you know what? Winwithblackwomen.org, you could sign up for their newsletter.
And I'm like, cause I gotta be on it. I got a little girl. She gotta know how to, let's go, let's do it. So I appreciate you. Listen, we'll talk again. And just thank you so much. And thank you for being on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Be easy.
Embrace your body, the most precious on earth. Think lives matter, don't you see? Beauty in all shapes has a key. Confidence in every stride. Think lives matter, let your light shine.